Well, good afternoon, and thank you all for being here today. As the sheriffs of Florida, many of us here present with you, we are pleased to announce that a 3-week operation of the Florida Sheriff's Task Force resulted in 11,875 felons being removed from the streets in the state of Florida. Operation Felony Sweep combined the strengths of 43 sheriff's offices from September 28th to October the 22nd and focused on removing violent felons and felons with outstanding warrants from our streets. This was a concentrated effort that included targeted enforcement activities as well as adding extra resources to highlight the role of sheriffs and their teams play in crime reduction. The sheriffs of the state of Florida and our deputies work every day to combat threats of safety to our citizenry and to protect their quality of life. Operation Felony Sweep focused primarily on the violent felons with outstanding warrants, but we also went and visited many of our sexual offenders and predators, many who we found in violation, and they were arrested within our communities. Past initiatives of the Florida Sheriff's Task Force have been cybersexual crimes that you all have covered over time, prescription drug abuse cases, which is what we in Highlands County focused on particularly, was our prescription abuse cases. And of course, we've done sweeps of deadbeat dads over the years. Felony crimes are considered the most dangerous, and the Florida Sheriff's Association, and me particularly as president at this time, is proud to lead this initiative to get the most serious criminals off the street. The Florida Sheriff's Task Force will continue to work tirelessly to make Florida one of the safest states in this country. We have the ability, under the leadership of Sheriff Grady Judd as the chairman of our Florida Sheriff's Task Force, to lead 67 sheriff's offices to address any specific needs of concern in their area or particularly statewide. We also serve as the point of contact for statewide initiatives helping during state emergencies, coordinating sheriff's offices and responses to storm-ravaged communities not only here in Florida, but across the southeastern United States. We are here today to present you with the wrap-up of our last 3 weeks of activities, and I'm going to turn it over to Sheriff Judd right now to fill you in on the details of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff Benton. There's a reason that crime in the state of Florida is at a 40-year low, and it's because of these Florida sheriffs joined by our colleagues from the different police departments. We put bad guys in jail, and you know what? We like it. And that's why we've arrested 11,875 folks. But you know, there's some interesting information that I want to bring out, and my colleagues want to bring out of that 11,875. First off, understand that there's a group of people called Smart Justice that think we ought to release people from jail and that we ought to just give them more counseling. Well, let's make one thing perfectly clear. The Florida sheriffs believe this is our version of smart justice. You put bad guys in jail, and they're not robbing you at gunpoint, they're not stealing your property, and they're certainly not breaking into your homes. And that's what we've done during this operation, is we've locked up a lot of bad folks. But there's some poster children we want to talk about specifically, and we thought this was very interesting. We just did a random search. Now, this is not 100%, this is not even 1%. But we wanted to look to see what kind of person we were dealing with. And here's what really boiled my brains, and I bet it does yours too. We go to work every day and we work really hard. And we pay our taxes to include our federal taxes. Well, these guys here, guess what they do? They don't work. They stay home. They get federal assistance from our tax money. And while we're working to pay taxes so that we can give them free federal assistance, guess what? They're breaking into your homes while you're at work. Well, they were until we locked them up. Now, that's one of the focuses we think Congress needs to look at. We want to know, why is it you're giving federal assistance to people who won't work and only commit crimes? And this is a classic example. We in the community work, we pay our taxes. They don't work, they don't pay taxes, they get tax money, and they steal our stuff, and they stick guns in the faces of people. In fact, one of the people on that watch list I have there robbed a store just last week in the Davenport area. That was, of course, after he went to the post office to get his federal check. But when he showed up at work the next day to get a check, apparently he directed traffic or something. We directed him to the county jail. The Florida Sheriff's Office, or the Florida Sheriff's Association, and the different sheriffs are sending this simple message: you violate the law, you're going to go to jail. No questions asked, because we're going to continue to have one of the safest states in the union. We're going to keep crime at a 40-year low. And the way we do that is we lock up people that want to take advantage of the community. And with that, I'll turn it over to my colleagues, my other sheriffs that are here today, and they're going to present another piece of this ongoing effort to keep the state of Florida and Polk County safe.
Thank you, Sheriff Judd. I'd like to first introduce Sheriff Al Nienhuis from Hernando County.
Good afternoon again. Thank you, Sheriff Benton. I'm Al Nienhuis, and we, Sheriff Judd and Sheriff Benton, were talking about taking people off the streets, and that's critically important. It definitely reduces the chance of them victimizing innocent people, but it's also important to take away some of their resources. And two of the resources the criminals use are money and guns. And we're happy to report that during the 3-week period, Florida sheriffs and some of the police departments that were involved took almost $440,000 in cash away from criminals. It was $13 shy from $440,000. That's a significant impact into the criminal enterprises in Florida. Not only that, 468 firearms were taken away from some of these violent people. So hopefully we've made an impact, not just in taking them off the street, but impacting some of their resources. Thank you.
Next, we have our neighbor, Osceola County Sheriff Bob Hansel.
First of all, I want to thank Sheriff Judd for putting this task force together. This Felony Sweep was an extreme success. Some of the issues that I found startling is during this time period, this 3-week time period, we made over 6,000 sexual offender and predator checks. Of those 6,000, we found 140 in violation of their sanctions, which means there's 140 less predators or offenders out there to offend our children in our neighborhoods. So it was an eye-opening experience, and it's all because of the partnership of sheriffs in the state of Florida getting together with their other law enforcement counterparts in the state, which keep our statistics safe in Florida, a safe place to live. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sheriff. Sheriff Bill Cameron from Charlotte County.
Thank you, Sheriff Ben. One of the root causes of most crime in Florida, as we all have known for our careers, has been illegal drugs, the use of drugs, and the dependency on drugs. And this felony sweep during this 3-week period alone, the 43 agencies that participated, the sheriff's offices seized over 950 pounds of marijuana during that 3-week sweep. We also seized over 30 pounds of cocaine and over 6,000 grams of illegally possessed prescription drugs, which, as we know, is one of the most serious plights to Florida right now. If it wasn't for people's dependency on drugs, we could cut crime in half. So it is a very good byproduct of this felon sweep, that a lot of the felons that we are arresting are the same people that are making sure that drugs are available on the streets, and they're making a living and making a lot of cash off of selling drugs to people, getting them purposely addicted to drugs that are destroying our Florida families. So the Florida sheriffs will be staying very dedicated to the battle on drugs and to try to eradicate illegal drug use from Florida.
My next door neighbor, Sheriff Arnold Lanier from Hardy County.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity of being here and being a part of this felon sweep. And we in Hardy County and other Florida sheriffs of this great state of Florida want to continue to keep the felons off the street daily. We want to lobby our state attorney's office and our judges to keep these felons in prison and off the streets. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And for some more good information statistically, I'd like to personally thank Colonel James Privatera from Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. His folks helped coordinate and track all of the numbers as we were working across the state these last 3 weeks. Colonel, thank you for you and your staff's work, and can you come give us some information?
I'd just like to the one thing that this really highlighted for us in collecting the statistics is how much the sheriffs in the state of Florida and their deputies are doing each and every day to protect the citizens of the state. When you look at the numbers and you looked at the raw data and we started to put those together, it really painted a picture of why crime in the state has been reduced consistently over the last several years because of the efforts of the sheriffs and our counterparts in the police departments and the support of all the federal agencies that helped us on this. But it really was an eye-opening experience to collect the statistics and to look at, sheriff's offices, all sizes, all demographics of population throughout the state. When you paint them all together on the same slate and look at it, it's really amazing what we're doing each and every day, and especially during a focused effort like this to keep the people of Florida safe. So we appreciate Sheriff Judd's leadership, and Sheriff G appreciates the opportunity the Sheriff's Association afforded us in this last 3 weeks.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions of us?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Probably of Grady. I don't think anybody's going to debate the fact that we don't want our hard-earned money going to schmucks. But can you give us some specifics? Are you saying that anybody with a felony record should get no kind of federal help, or just give us what lawmakers should be approving?
I can tell you this, that people that are breaking into your homes and sticking guns in your face and robbing you should not get federal assistance. None of them.
Of any sort?
Of any sort. The only assistance they need from the government is when we feed them in the county jail, and we'll guarantee that.
Sheriff, what's your message to other would-be criminals who might see something like this out there? Any choice words for them?
Well, I always have words for the criminals, you know that. 11,875 arrests only represents 3 weeks of work for the Florida sheriffs. And we're also joined by our colleagues with the police departments, and we're coming after you. We're going to keep Florida a safe state. It is a safe state. We're at a 40-year low. So if you're not on the board this time, we'll have you on the board next time if you break into people's house, if you steal their car, if you try to assault them or create any crimes against any of our children. The bottom line is that we put bad guys in jail because we enjoy it, and it keeps the people of the state of Florida safe.
Any particular poster children that you saw that sort of stuck out? Any careers or anything that really kind of highlighted in there that you want to tell us about?
I can tell you that if you look at Mr. Leonard, he was arrested on October the 17th for robbery at a small store in the Davenport area. He has previously been in prison 5 times. He's been arrested 11 times. We give him federal assistance, so he is being paid to rob stores by the federal government. And we think that's crazy. And that's why the Florida sheriffs are not going to put up with that. Now the only federal assistance he gets is if he ends up in the federal penitentiary. But right now, he's getting county assistance. It's in the way of the county jail, and we're proud of that. Mr. Bearden was arrested on October the 15th for burglary, grand theft, and dealing in stolen property. He's already been to prison before. I guess Smart Justice thinks they can help him. He's been arrested a total of 15 times. He receives federal assistance. Quite frankly, Smart Justice to the Florida sheriffs is criminals behind bars, and that's what we're pushing during this next legislative session. Quite frankly, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that if we had the time to break down, you would be shocked. I would suggest to you it goes past hundreds of times. I would suggest out of 11,875 people that have been arrested, I would almost bet you that the largest majority of them are receiving some kind of federal assistance because they're too sorry to work. And the federal government is providing that for them. Now, what makes me say that? We did an operation about 6 or 8 weeks ago, and most of you were here, in Bartow, the city of Bartow, with the police department. We had warrants for 30 people in Bartow. 28 of them were on federal assistance. 28. Because they didn't have time to work. They were out selling drugs. And there's no legal market for that, so they just take your federal money that we all work hard to pay our taxes. And that is my main argument about this. Why in the world don't we look at those folks who are criminals and say, look, you've already been in prison. You need to go out here and get you a job. And by the way, we're not going to pay you to lay up at the house and sell drugs. We're not going to take our federal tax money and do that. But that's another argument for another day. But quite frankly, if some people in Congress wanted to have a great soundbite for the next 2 weeks, they jump up and say, you know, we're going to pass legislation that says if you go to prison, you have just eliminated the opportunity to get federal assistance ever in your life. If you've ever been to, or if you go to state prison, federal prison, county jail, if you behave and you need assistance, then the federal government can help you. But you forfeited that benefit once you're locked up and convicted. That would be impressive. You want to take any bets whether they got enough nerve to say it over the next week or so? Probably not.
So you're saying there is no support either in the state or beyond that for this?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I'm looking for the first person to stand up and say, you're a convicted felon, we're not giving you any more federal or state aid. You lost that opportunity.
Sheriff, 11,875 were arrested. From that number, how many would you say were Latinos? Can you give me a percentage?
I don't have that percentage. We didn't break them down. You know, we see a criminal as a criminal. We don't care if they're what, you know, race, sex, ethnicity. You know, a thug is a thug is a thug.
How many were arrested here in Polk County?
We arrested 806 in Polk County.
How excited are you to have all the counties together like this?
Oh, do you know what?
Group?
You know, the Florida sheriffs are a very close-knit group of men and women, and we have the highest respect for each other, and we work together every day. But this is an opportunity through the Florida Sheriff's Task Force to showcase what we all do individually. We've come together collectively, and you'll see many more operations like this. You already see us work together on the sexual predator operations. For example, our colleague from Manatee County, Sheriff Stubbe, had an arrest of about 43 folks. Well, different sheriff's deputies went down there from different counties and joined his team on that particular operation, and he did the press release in his home county. We're asking all of our sheriffs to do individual releases in their counties, but collectively we can be really, really effective, and this is one snapshot. Just think, this is 3 weeks, 11,875 arrests. That's people off of the street that were looking for opportunities to victimize in this beautiful state. We're proud of the fact that there's a 40-year low crime rate here. We're proud that the Florida sheriffs, and it's not the 66 elected sheriffs and the appointed sheriff, it's the deputies that make the difference. It's the community that reports information that makes a difference. It's our colleagues in the police department. But our officers and our deputies are the ones that do the heavy lifting. We just have the opportunity to coach them along and to thank them for keeping this state safe.
Sheriff, due to the timing of this announcement, I know you're running unopposed, but some of the other sheriffs are in a contested race. Some might see this as a way of grandstanding for the election. How would you respond to that?
Well, you know, the opponents may say they're grandstanding. I would say that they're doing a great job of keeping the people in their community safe. And you know what? When you run for public election, you don't quit working. And we work every day. So no, I don't really have anybody, but if there's sheriffs here that have an opponent today, look out, because your incumbent sheriff's working hard and putting bad guys in jail.
So the scheduling of this operation had nothing to do with the election calendar or anything?
Who would think we would do that? We do operations 3 or 4 or 5 times a year. We do, and quite frankly, the last one was a sexual predator operation. But here's the contrast. When you're elected for office, you put people in jail every day, and you come together every day. So what a better opportunity than to do it right now.
We do have Michael Lashman who's challenging you. Just wanted to remind you.
Let's see. Is that the guy that?
Trying to get him on the air because
That's right, because I only got a little over 99. What was it? 99
That's
point.
a serious question. That's what she zaps me. Please, bro, don't do it. Please, bro. It sounds like you're challenging the folks in Congress to step up and say, I'm going to be the first one and say no more federal funding to.
I'm challenging the people in Congress to be leaders.
Okay.
I know that's a novel idea for Congress.
Right. My question is, why is it so hard to get those folks to do that?
Do you know, why is it hard to get them to pass a balanced budget? You know, why is it hard to get them to be responsible? All I'm telling Congress, let's start with a responsible position. That responsible position is we pay taxes. And certainly we don't mind helping those that are very old, those are very young, those are the challenge. That's a moral obligation of all of us, and we recognize that as taxpayers. It's not our obligation to fund a bunch of thugs that are out breaking into stuff at our house while we're working and earning the tax money. So that's what I'm all about here. So let's go forward in Congress. Let's find us some common ground that we can all agree on. And why can't we all agree that the first place you can work toward balancing a budget, the first place that you can work towards saving money, the first place you can look at dealing with a debt is to quit paying the thugs to sit at home and do nothing other than commit crimes against the hardworking people that are paying their taxes. That's a good start.
Sheriff, we didn't hear from everyone. How many sheriffs total do we have?
Yeah, you heard from all the sheriffs. The others are command staffs. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of us, and the others are command staffs.
And did you work then with others statewide that are not here today? Or?
Yes, there's 43 out of the 67 that participated in this particular operation. And like you said, some of them had opposition, some of them didn't. But you can be sure one thing, whether it's election year or not, you're going to see this again next year. And it's funny, though, now that, you know, I always have these afterthoughts when y'all leave. Nobody questioned us in an election year when we all showed up to protect people from the hurricanes. Oh, what are you doing here? Isn't there an election? Well, yeah, but, you know, we're working election year, too. And y'all be good. Thank you very much. Need anything else? We have answers if you have questions.